And welcome back to Nancy's Neighborhood, folks. And I told you I had Dustin Tommy on with me, and I always love talking to Dustin because when I first met him and he told me what he was going to do and why he'd come to Cleveland, I thought you've lost your mind. But I was the one that had lost my mind because if you go to City Fields now, the old Blythe neighborhood, Dustin had not lost his mind. And I'm so proud of you, Dustin, what you've done over there.
Thank you very much, Nancy.
Now, I know it takes a team, but it
Yes.
also takes a leader of the team. So just kind of tell me what's happening over there now.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on.
I'm so glad to always see you.
It's always fun and an honor to be here. And I just kind of hit the high points and highlight some of the things that have recently been going on. We have now sold our 5th home, all right around the old Blythe Elementary School. As you know, I think I've shared before, and many folks now know, the Blythe Oldfield Park is complete, and many folks say it's the coolest park in town.
That's what I've heard.
We see a lot of stuff happening there, and it's all great. It's just an amazing park, and we're so thankful for the partnerships that we have with the city. They have helped tremendously. If it wasn't for them, we really wouldn't be where we're at today. But it's gone from a place that has felt overlooked for years to a place that has now kind of, the spotlight has been shined on it as a place that's up and coming. And again, and so we've sold our 5th home. All of those homes touch the park. The neighborhood park, and then we've bought 4 more properties that we're in the process of renovating, and we're hoping to get to where we're doing as many as 12 homes a year.
Oh wow!
That's what we would like
to
be doing. Yep. And
Whoa.
we're getting better and more efficient at managing all of that, and we've been fortunate, to get grants and work with many local banks. I can't even possibly shout out as many folks as have been a part of this. Like you said, it takes a village, but for sure, Bank of Cleveland, Pinnacle Bank, and United Community of late have been particularly helpful. But all of the banks here in this community are seeing what we're doing and saying, hey, we're interested in wanting to help. So I think getting to that 12 homes a year place is within the next 2 years.
Wow! All right, now you've the 5 homes that you've sold; those are renovations.
4 were renovations,
Okay.
and 1 was a new build.
Oh wow!
It was an empty lot that was when we purchased one lot. It came with an empty lot next door.
Oh, okay. Well, how fortunate.
Yep.
Okay.
So the 4 that we're doing now, 3 of them are renovations, and 1 of them is a new build. And speaking of partnerships, ORBA, Ocoee Regional Builders Association, is sponsoring and partnering with us on that to help us really keep the cost as low as we can keep them, and to be able to sell it affordably to a first-time home buyer or public servant.
And I think that's interesting because basically what your target is first-time home buyers or a public servant. And I think that is great. And you and I talked before we went on the air about the fact that you need a diverse community.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think diversity is something that we value, and in a neighborhood that is like ours with close proximity. The homes are built very, very close to one another. We need diversity. We need stability, and there's a lot of rental property over there that, nothing wrong with renting, but some of the properties that are rented are rented by folks that at least the landlord doesn't particularly take care of the property that well. So we're trying to convert some of those into owner-occupied properties, because when you've got a healthy balance of owner-occupied, you've got more of a stable street,
Absolutely.
a stable block.
Absolutely. And I know that sometimes those rental properties are tough to buy because the owners don't want to give up that income from those rentals.
Some of them are like you're saying is it's a moneymaker.
Right.
You if you got it paid for, it's making money, but
Right.
at some point, it might be advantageous to cash out and to let that investment go, and we are turning, basically giving people, for many people, equity for the first time in their life, and that's really one of the keys to overcoming either a cycle of poverty or being in a situation where you're financially strapped. Is how can you get ahead? And sometimes people just need a hand up and an opportunity to own something. So we're excited about all that's going on, and I haven't mentioned, we have gotten a grant in partnership with the Lyndhurst Foundation out of Chattanooga.
Yes, out of Chattanooga,
to do neighborhood master planning, and that is coming together beautifully, and it's actually opened doors for us to, in partnership with the city, apply for grants. That the city just received word recently that we received a diabetes grant to do. We made a connection between childhood obesity and diabetes, and the data for that census tract made a perfect correlation between those two things, and the city just got a $450,000 grant that is no match required for us to do sidewalks from the old Blythe Elementary School all the way south to Blythe Bower Elementary School.
which
and
would
make
be
that
like
connection.
a walking trail,
Yes.
which would be fantastic
Yes.
for exercise.
Ultimately, we want to advocate for the Greenway as it finds its way, meanders through downtown, for it to kind of make its way all the way to the Blythe Oldfield neighborhood, and all the new exciting things that are happening over there through the Whirlpool property, through our neighborhood, down to the new park right behind Blythe Bower Elementary. There's a multi-purpose field and a dog park back there. It's amazing. They haven't done a groundbreaking or a ceremony yet, but it's in the works.
Okay, now the dog park, is that open to the general public or is it for just the neighborhood?
It will be open to the
Okay.
general public. I don't know what the expected date of delivery is
Gotcha.
yet, but it's in the works, and it's coming soon.
That is fantastic. Now, and you have the old Blythe Bower School, or the Blythe Elementary
Yes.
School, whatever it was called, and you have a community center in there?
Yes.
So,
It's not staffed like the Northeast Rec Center, College Hill Rec Center,
Right.
or the South Cleveland Rec Center, but Family Resource Agency works with the city to use part of the building for Head Start activity, and then subleases the other properties to nonprofits like us who serve the community. And then there's a gym that can be accessed by the public if reservations are made. And then the park outside, and all those things are amenities that people can use here in Cleveland.
and I think that's awesome. And go back to my early history with you is when you all got a huge grant from TVA.
Yes.
And you went into the neighborhood and offered upgrades on homing.
Yep, energy home improvements.
Right.
We ultimately did 413 energy home improvements.
Wow.
And I always tell this, and it blows my mind still, but we originally only applied for $1 million. Only, I say. It was the biggest thing I've ever applied for.
Well, really?
And they told us, we'd like for you to apply for more. And so we applied for 5, and they said, how about you ask for 3.75
Okay.
million? And that's what we ended up asking for. And then halfway through the grant, they said, well, we're trying to evaluate how to spend the rest of our money. And we see you guys are being so successful. They said, can you spend an extra $1 million in the next 6 months? And we said, let's call the contractors.
That's right.
And they all were worked with us to put the pedal to the metal, and we ultimately did 413 homes, and most of those folks are saving 25% or more on their energy bills.
Right.
And that was really a game changer for us and for a lot of people, because when you have success like that, it attracts other investments, and that part of town had not seen investments like that made in a while.
Right.
And so it has been a catalyst for other types of investments.
And to me, that was so awesome because I think the realization, I'm sitting in a United Way meeting and they were talking about 900 square foot house was paying $350 in
Yes.
utilities.
Very
And I'm thinking,
common.
I don't pay that
In your house.
at my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how do they do that?
I know. It's crazy.
And those were rental houses.
It's crazy.
So I'm thinking this is a lifesaver and life changer for some of these people.
Absolutely.
So, and I know I have a friend who lives over in that neighborhood, and you all did some work for her, which she tremendously appreciated. So, did the people have to apply to you for those, or how did that work?
Yes, we did. Folks applied, and unfortunately, we don't have any more money for energy improvements. But we did. We kind of saturated the Blythe Oldfield neighborhood. We saturated owner occupied, and then we kind of expanded our territory, our boundaries for the second wave of homes, and did some outside of our normal boundaries.
And to me, this is so fascinating. And I'm not a native of Bradley County. I've told people before I got here as quick as I could. But that community basically was a working community for our foundries.
Yes, absolutely.
And a lot of the houses are the same, have the same look, the same floor plan. They may not have, the outside might be a little different.
Yep.
But 2-bedroom, 1-bath, living room, dining room, that type of thing.
A lot of the homes were built in the teens and the 20s. Some were built before then, but it was the earliest large-scale planned development in Cleveland. There are older homes in older parts of town. The historic district downtown has some older homes, but as far as a planned neighborhood development, it was the earliest and oldest in Bradley County.
Maybe close to one of the oldest in Tennessee, even.
Possibly.
Because it was a planned community
True.
at the time.
For those factories.
For those factories, which I thought was amazing when I found that out, because I thought, gosh, that's great foresight on somebody.
Yes.
You know, that you can walk to work, just come right on over the hill.
And speaking of those factories, that is another interesting point that I would bring up to you and your audience. Is it's exciting if you haven't seen the demolition progress that Whirlpool is making over there on Euclid Avenue and 6th Street Southeast. Check it out. It's amazing what has already come down in the past 2 or 3 months. And when you stand where our office is located and look out towards the city and see what's coming down, you realize it's just a stone's throw from downtown. And when all of
Isn't
that
that
comes
amazing?
down, it's going to be a game changer for Cleveland. I know the mayor and city manager and all the people in Cleveland who've worked hard to make that possible are excited to see it come down, and excited about the potential for redeveloping that property. And I want to harness that energy and those opportunities and just let it catapult us even further.
Absolutely, because it's going to tie you all into downtown once.
Exactly.
How many? I may be putting you on the spot. How many acres is that? Do you know?
The Whirlpool property? People, I've heard the number 90 acres,
Okay.
but I think that included a parcel that was sold out, that sold separately. And I think the part that is downtown next to the old woolen mill and right there is closer to 50 or 60.
That's a lot of acreage
It's a lot.
for downtown. It is. And, you know, it doesn't look like that much because the building's sitting there. But once the building comes down, then you're going to see how many football fields are there.
There's not many places like it in Tennessee that are planned to come down. They call those sites vacant industrial sites brownfields.
Right.
And I've heard it said it's the third largest brownfield site in Tennessee.
Wow.
And so when it's gone, what we have, that blank slate, that clean palette to work with, the opportunities are endless for Cleveland.
And that's awesome. And
is.
and that will really tie the city fields into downtown, because that's
Absolutely.
going to just be a stone's throw from the museum
Absolutely.
and some of the restaurants downtown and things like that.
Right, and we kind of, our boundaries kind of butt right up to the Main Street boundaries of Main Street's kind of working on the downtown area.
Right. They have
And-
a footprint, they
right.
call it. Yeah.
And our footprint kind of adjoins right up to theirs, and ultimately I see us both kind of just working towards one another and having a healthier situation there at the Whirlpool site and all of that area.
And that is so exciting. And,
It is.
And like I say, Dustin, when I first met you and you came into town, I'm thinking, this guy has lost his mind. He has no idea
Yeah.
what he's going into. But you all have done a fabulous job up there.
Well, the residents that are there have been there for us since we got there. You know, we worked hard in the beginning to build the trust of people that
Right.
that have lived there and have lived there for a long time. And at this point, I think for the most part, folks are excited about the changes and feel like we're a real partner to the neighborhood in advocating for the changes they want to see, and
And
we
they're
couldn't do it
positive
without
changes.
them. They are.
And I think people are so welcoming of it because they've been there for some of them so long that they weren't seeing any changes.
Yes.
And now they are.
And if you want to learn more about City Fields,
Right.
We do have our website up on the screen, but also I would put a plug in for folks who have heard of us before but haven't really gotten a tour or immersed in what we're doing. And you know, if today is just a taste of what we're doing, we have an event coming up on August 8th, and we're calling it Friends of City Fields Lunch and Learn. And these Lunch and Learn events, we've done one. At the Lunch and Learn, we do a short presentation, a bus tour, we feed you lunch, and it's just a fun time to learn about what we're doing and see what all is going on over there. There's space for, I believe, 35, and we already have 15 RSVPs for this one coming up on August 8th.
Okay, so how do they RSVP?
Email me or someone at our organization. My information is up on the screen.
Dustin at cityfieldscdc.com.
Yep, or you can call our office and we'll put you down. But we would love to have you if you're interested in what we're doing. The last one, we were fortunate to have both the city and county mayor and Senator Todd Gardenhire came, and we talked about food deserts, and he has recently proposed some I believe legislation about trying to help with food deserts in Tennessee. And we were able to show him where the old neighborhood grocery store was that is no longer.
Right.
And we would love to get a grocer back in that place and really see not just Whirlpool redevelopment, but the whole neighborhood, but the Wildwood corridor
Right.
come back and make a comeback. Yeah.
That is great. Dustin, we've run out of time. In
Okay.
fact, we've gone over time, but I didn't care. We were having such a good time. So, and I know you have a very serious meeting you need to get to. So thank you so much for being on with me today. I'm not telling them. I just said you have a very serious meeting. Thank you so much for being on. I always enjoy talking to you. And
You too.
sometimes I see you out at breakfast and this and that.
Yes.
But it's great to see what's happening over there.
Well, thank
and
you.
I know those people are thrilled to know that somebody cares and somebody stepped in there to upgrade a quality of life.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Dustin. Folks, don't go away. I'll be right back with some more upcoming events. So watch our commercials, support our sponsors because they pay our bills, and I'll be right back.